Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to this very important event as part of TechChill that most probably in future retrospect will serve as a very important piece in the puzzle called the EU Digital Identity Wallet. My name is Artis Ozoliņš. I'm a tech enthusiast. I host events. I talk about technology and digital trends on the radio, and personally, I love how easy digital solutions make our everyday lives. So I'm very enthusiastic about today's program, which promises us a glimpse into the digital future that will be safe, that will be unified, and that will be very easy to use across the EU in the form of the EU Digital Identity Wallet. I welcome you here at Fantadroms. I welcome all of the online viewers on YouTube. And today we're going to take a look at this topic in different parts. This is all happening because 4 pilot projects a few years ago underneath the Digital Euro program started to achieve the goal mentioned, and Latvia is in the NOBID consortium that focuses on the transaction aspect in the wallet. So today we're going to take a look in the first part of the program at this topic through 4 lenses. First of all, through the Ministry of Smart Administration and Regional Development. Secondly, the Latvian State Radio and Television Center, the NOBID project, and SEB Bank, after which we will delve into a panel discussion until 3 o'clock with a coffee break in between. But right now, to open up the digital wallet topic, so to say, let's welcome on the stage from the ministry its head of the digital policy department, ladies and gentlemen, Rinalds Celmiņš. Welcome, Rinalds.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. Wow, despite the lunchtime, we have an audience. That's cool. What I wanted to say is that it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here today to this exciting event, as Artis already mentioned, on digital identity wallet, which is crucial not only to Latvia but to whole of the EU. Today it's all about understanding what this initiative, this pilot project is about. It's first of all about empowering citizens, all of us, enhancing efficiency, and fostering trust in digital interactions. So about digital identity wallet, it's essentially a game changer that we see will be here in few years. It is set also to redefine how we, the citizens, businesses, and government interact between each other by providing secure, user-friendly solution for managing essential credentials. But it's not only about credentials, it's also about financial details. Meanwhile, upholding the highest standards of security and transparency. It will allow also citizens to store all of us, our credentials, starting with ID, driver's license, health records, financial details, and many others in one secure place. One might ask about the core principles on this digital transformation. So I might name just a few, but there are more. So we can definitely start with privacy, security, transparency, and user journey, ease of use for all of us. So this means that this identity wallet at the end of the day will meet all of our needs, starting with citizens, ending with businesses. And this vision aligns perfectly with Latvia's digital commitment to digital transformation, where technology comes at hand to each and every one of us. To keep ahead of the ever-evolving world, Latvia has made sure to be at the forefront of digital transformation. That's why we are also part of the 5 other European countries in this project, pilot project, contributing to the development of European Digital Identity Wallet. This project will ensure that the wallet is designed for real-world usability. So it means intuitive, secure, and widely accessible. In parallel, Latvia is one of the countries creating our own wallet. So this means that instead of the universal solution already in the pilot, we have created a tailored system that aligns with Latvia's national infrastructure and security standards and user needs. This allows us to understand the opportunities and the challenges we all see that are ahead of us, and reinforces our commitment to leading digital innovation in Europe. The momentum behind digital identity wallets is undeniable. In 2022, there were approximately 3.4 billion users of identity wallets, of digital wallets. In 2 years' time, by 2026, we see this might increase to 5.2 billion. This offers us not just the benefits, but also ease at everyday life. Operations in everyday life will become more seamless and more transparent. Access to services will become faster and easier. Citizens will be able to, all of us will be able to interact with public services via digital identity wallet. Also, economic growth and competitiveness will be definitely a game changer, since we'll be able to operate cross-border. Of course, we should never forget trust and security, where widespread adoption depends on ensuring privacy, cybersecurity, and legal compliance. And as a final point, I would like to mention stronger digital sovereignty. By developing EU-led solutions, we ensure that European citizens' data remains protected based on the GDPR and European values. By 2030, at least 80% of EU citizens are expected to use digital identity wallet. 80%. It's quite a number. And of course, while the European digital wallet holds immense potential, it also comes with challenges that we face in everyday life. To name a few, the number one might be technical complexity. Creating a unified solution among EU 27 member states, you can imagine what kind of work that is. Interoperability, standards, etc. Adoption by users and businesses. The basis is always trust. So if we build the trust and awareness, the usability will be automatically augmented. Security and data protection. A strong focus on transparency, encryption, and legal standards is critical. And beyond just convenience, the digital identity wallet will significantly change the way businesses and service operators operate. Based on the numbers, we can see that approximately 11 billion per year might be the economic growth, and hundreds of thousands of hours of employee time might be saved. So this is really an impressive number for economic growth. As already mentioned, it is expected to have at least 80% of society, member states, using European digital identity wallets, and we are very proud in contributing to this endeavor, and Latvia is working hard on developing the solution where the cornerstone, the main building block, is that no one is left behind. For us, this is one of the most crucial elements, of course, by not compromising on security, data privacy, etc. So, to end my long intervention, I'll pass the floor to Artis and Ace. Thank you to all of you, despite the lunchtime, and hope you have an interesting debate. And messages. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Renald. Thank you very much. Oh. Thank you very much for the very precise intro on the topic. As Mr. Telminch mentioned, it covers so many aspects that we will try to cover today in today's event. I just hope, I don't know about you, but if through this project, if we can make those darn gates at the airports work faster, where you have to scan your passport and then your face, if we can make them at least a little bit faster with the digital tools, I'll be very happy. I don't know about you. I don't know what to do when I walk up to them. I put the passport, I smile, it doesn't let me through, then I go back and forth. Okay, that's besides the humorous part, 80% of the EU by 2030. That's a huge task that we have to achieve all together, and that's why we are here today, to put all of these puzzle pieces together. And while I was waiting for the event during the coffee break before, I was talking to people trying to sell today's topic, explaining why this is very important. Come and listen to today's presentation, and we came to a conclusion in our coffee chats before that actually living in the EU, and especially in Latvia, we are very lucky with the digital solutions that we have, that are in place and that are working. Just to mention one of them, the e-signature project. Looking back at it, I think it is a major success here in Latvia that has developed and changed how we sign documents. Me as an event host during COVID times was very stressful. I thought, how can I manage keeping and continuing my business during these times? And e-signature was actually one of the tools that I used most frequently back then, and still now today. And I think that was a major success. And the key player in this project back then was the Latvian State Radio and Television Center, which actually is a part of the NOBID pilot project right now to develop the digital wallet prototype. What works, what doesn't, what are the first key takeaways from it? Let's hear it from the product manager at the Latvian State Radio and Television Center. Let's welcome on our stage Linda Michelson. Welcome, Linda. Welcome.
Hello, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Linda, product manager at Latvian State Radio and Television Center. And as mentioned, I will give you a presentation on the European Digital Identity Wallet. Some of you most probably know more about it, some of you less. So the focus of this presentation is to give 101. Why we are having this digital wallet coming into play here. It's important to know the context of it. So, for example, we had this ADAS regulation. It's a regulation on electronic identification and trust services. And it was a success until a point where it had some main challenges that are overcome with the new regulation, as we say, ADAS 2.0. So, for example, the main challenges was the limited adoption and notification of EID schemes. It meant that not all European Union countries were notifying their schemes, therefore we couldn't have this seamless cross-border identification. Then there was a low cross-border usage. Of course, if not all countries are part of the notified countries, the usage will decrease, as well as users gave feedback on poor user experience. There were a lot of transactions that didn't went through without any significant reason. And of course, due to the fact that we wanted to have technical neutrality, it led to fragmentation in the market. And how does the new regulation plans to solve this is that it's mandatory for each member state to notify and present their own digital identity wallet. And it's mandatory for the rest of the European countries to accept it as well. So, for example, so the things that were now mandatory in the first regulation now are mandatory here. And as well, together, all European countries are creating one architecture and reference framework. And all of these wallets have to be developed based on this same architecture. So in that case, we can provide interoperability cross-border. Our vision at European level is to have a secure and simple digital identification, as well as seamless access to digital services throughout Europe. And of course, at the national level, we are working on this vision as well, but on a national level, we want to have that qualified identification means are a regular everyday life thing for all the citizens, and as well that all the tools that we are creating and developing in the country comply with the highest security measures. Rinauts already mentioned a lot of the functions that the wallet can provide and all the great aspects of it. So to mention a few as well from my side, it's a tool with which we're in a sense familiar. We can provide our own identity and authenticate ourselves online to access certain services. Plus, with the digital identity wallet, we will be able to store, manage, and validate our digital identity attributes. Within the wallet, we call them attestations, as they will be attested by a qualified trust service provider. And it will be available to all the individuals and legal entities, as well applicable throughout the European Union. And as well, within the wallet, you will have the electronic signature and the e-seals for businesses. To make it more clearer how all the use cases work and what are the endless possibilities within the digital identity wallet, if we're looking at the public sector, then it's your identity verification, presenting different medical prescriptions. It's you can apply for tax refund, apply to different schools, and of course show your driver's license. And if we're looking at the private sector, it would be opening a bank account, car rentals, hotel check-ins, and different use cases in e-commerce when it comes to online shopping. And one example of public and private sector synergy would be around the driver's license. You have your one wallet, you have your European Digital Identity wallet, and you have your driver's license on it. You have your identity card. Within the same app, you get your car insurance, you rent a car, and you make a rental payment as well. You could possibly unlock the car, and that's all within the same application and user. This is one of the examples where we're thinking of the user experience, so you don't have to transfer from one app to another app, but this could be done within one application in a trustworthy and secure manner. And how does it work? Of course, this image is very illustrative, and the trust framework will be a lot more complicated. But to briefly explain this, at the center we have the wallet users. You're the ones at the center of it. You're the ones that are obtaining attestations, and you are the ones that are providing them to different relying parties or would say service providers. You're the one that decides what type of information you want to request and store in your wallet, and you're also the one that decides what type of information you're going to provide to the service providers. And then on the left side, we have the issuers, who are the authentic sources of your information. Within the issuers and wallet users, in between them, there are qualified trust service providers. They're the ones that put this qualified seal, a trust seal, you would say, to the users, and this seal is an indication to other service providers that this information is qualified and you can trust it and it comes from a trusted source. And then in between issuers and service providers, it's this trust in a sense that the ones that are familiar maybe with the current ADAS framework, it will be something similar to the trust list. But anyways, it's that service providers at any given moment can check through the specific trust mechanisms if the issuer is valid, if the qualified attestation is valid, and the issuer as well can check the service providers in a sense that there's always a possibility, both on national and international level, to check the issuers. Have they obtained the necessary trust certificates? Are they part of the trust infrastructure? And you can trust these attestations that are provided to you. And then how to make this I would say a dream of the seamless identification across Europe a real thing that is happening. So the Commission decided on having 4 consortiums, digital identity consortiums that focus on different topics. As mentioned, Latvia is part of the NOBID consortium, and we're focusing on the digital payments. As well, there's potential, DC4EU and EVC. They are focusing on driver's license, digital credentials for education, and travel credentials. It's a 24-month-long project. Well, now we're extending it a bit, so we will get 29 months in total, I would say. And the same goes for other consortiums as well. This was due to the fact that at the beginning, we were not provided all the necessary information that was important for the testing. But in general, the plan of these consortiums is to test the reference implementation provided by the Commission and give feedback on it. I will give more information. Yes, so in this NOBID consortium, we are us, Latvian State Radio Television Center, SEB Bank, Road Traffic Safety Directorate, Riga Technical University, and Ministry of Smart Administration and Regional Development. So we're 5 of us working together on implementing the Latvian use case, of course, contributing with, collaborating with other countries and other partners as well. So the use cases we have are not only on national level, but are in collaboration with other countries and partners. This is the slide I wanted to say how we're working on this. This is like a never-ending circle we have. We have this architecture and reference framework. That's the document, basically, that all the European countries are putting together on how the wallet should actually look like, how it should work, how the interoperability and trust is working. Then this influences the reference implementation, the source code that we're provided, and then this reference implementation large-scale pilots are using, giving back the feedback to improve the IRF document, and then it goes back to the reference implementation. So that's the endless circle we are in currently because of we're already currently seeing that in January, the European Commission dropped one of the newest releases for the reference implementation, and our developer had to work night and day basically to provide and to provide updates and fit into the deadlines that's coming actually for us this week. And then that's the circle that we are in to provide and to test the interoperability and scalability at the national and international level. And within the NOBID consortium, we are 2 wallet providers. So in a sense, we are having already, I would say that's a benefit for us as we are both following the same architecture and reference framework, we're following the same reference implementation, but to check if we're actually within the same consortium, we will be able to showcase the interoperability. We're certain that we will be able to do that, but we'll see what happens during the upcoming 3 months. As for us, until end of May is the most important time for all the testing that will take place. And a small preview of the demo app that we have. It's for user experience and to kind of understand what is, for some people it's harder to understand what is an attribute, what is an attestation, but it's very common and understandable what are your own cards. So it's visualized here as well as digital identity card, driver's license, and diploma. You can favorite the documents, and of course in the main section you have the rest of the documents that are possible. And as you see in the second picture, it's on, you see the information, who is requesting this information, what type of information the service provider is requesting, and then the last picture, you as a user, you can see you can check which information you want to provide and which you would like to not. For example, photo, SEB Bank doesn't need, for example, in this situation. But of course, if you unselect a very important information that is a must for receiving the specific service, you will receive a notification that states that unfortunately, without providing this information, you are not able to receive this service. So this will be provided on national level and international level. We have these implementing acts that say that we have to create specific registration processes. So within each country, there will be a specific registration process where a company can provide what type of information they would like to receive and the justification of it. But the process is planned to be automated as much as possible. Therefore, we're planning on having it as a seamless process for you to just receive an access certificate and you can operate within the wallet ecosystem. And then, of course, it's going to be a very easy process for the users as well to notify the authorities if they think that a specific service provider is requesting more than they should. For example, if not all the companies in Latvia need to know your personal identification code. As, of course, we're very used to giving this left and right, but sometimes it's just that you need to know that the person is at least 18 and that's it. And yes, so we see this is the future for us. It's a question for you all. Are you preparing for it today, or you're waiting for end of 26 or end of 27 and then starting your implementations? It's important to get out there, see different partners, as this whole ecosystem is not going to be built in one day by one partner. It's much a collaboration process. So definitely get involved and see you in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I think we have time for questions.
Yes.
We do have the time. If you have any questions in the audience, please do raise your hand. Maybe we have a microphone. Maybe we can hand it out. Oh, there are actually two questions right now. Yes, we will get a mic. Meanwhile, online viewers on YouTube, please do use the comment section. We will try to follow up on you as well. So if you have any questions, please do write them and send them over to us. But yes, hello, sir. What's your name? Who do you represent? And what's your question?
Hi, thank you. My name's Kristaps. I'm actually from Riga Technical University, but I don't work with this project. I just want to ask, so you mentioned that we're expecting 80% by 2030. I didn't hear it, I think. Sorry if you mentioned it, but what are the next steps in the NOBID consortium and in the project overall? When are we expecting some kind of product launch that people will be able to use? And then are we still expecting some pilots and testing to be done? What are some initial steps now?
Regarding the 80%, I think it was Rinald who mentioned that, but for the pilot project, we're concluding at the end of June. So we have to go through our own testing and provide the feedback and see what parts of the wallet can be reused for the national implementation and which parts can't be used. That's the first step. Then as well, there is the second wave of pilot projects coming in that will be specifically designated for the national implementations and working with the product-ready wallet or almost product-ready wallet. And we have our own deadline, 24th of December 2026, the national wallets have to be provided. It is stated by the regulation, so the clock is ticking for us. So I would say the production-ready wallet will be at the end of 2026, but for the users to test what we have in the pilot project, we're currently assembling a focus group for this. If anyone is specifically interested in this, can approach that on us. But we already had the first round of application, so if the interest is really high, I would suggest getting in contact with us this week.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. 24th of December, that means
Yes.
Merry Digital Christmas, right?
Exactly.
It's like a Christmas present.
Christmas
Very
present.
good. Very good.
Have you been naughty or nice? Depends.
There's a question here in the third row. Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm Margus from EIDC and I help businesses adopt digital identity and qualified electronic signature world around the world. And you talked about registration of relying parties, very seamless, automated. Like if I register in Latvia and I want to use Estonian or German wallet, do I need to register in these countries as well, or is only one registration enough?
Only one registration, as the national registers will be put in the European registry. So if you go through this process in one country, you can use you can become as a relying party in different countries as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Any more questions? We do have the time. If we have any, please do raise your hand. I'm checking online right now. We don't have any questions. I have a question from my side, if I may. We heard by Rinalds in the intro speech that trust and safety is a very important puzzle piece to establish for this to actually work and for people to trust. So you mentioned in your presentation the safety or test mechanism for service providers to just check that they are safe, that it works. And this made me think, because nowadays in other events concerning cyber security, these third parties and their security is somewhat of a sore point. Sometimes they're used to access different systems. So I don't know if you can answer this, or maybe our next speakers will talk on that. But how do you see this, and what other rigid exercises do they have to take to actually ensure that they are safe and not the weak point?
You're thinking on more of the issuer side, the ones that are providing data, or the ones that are requesting data?
I guess requesting. You had a slide where you had these service providers.
Yes. So that would the companies go through a registration process, and that's a very common practice already currently, that you check if this is a legit company, if none of the owners are blacklisted, and etc. And then, of course, if it's currently, you already can go in person and request any information that you want. But in an online platform, we, for example, wouldn't want to allow a car rental company request information regarding your health. So that type of checking would be, if you are in a specific area, in a specific field, then you are requesting information that is linked to the type of field your company works in. That, I would say that, yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Good that is thought of, because that's a very important aspect. Okay, last chance for a question. If not, we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to talk more in depth. Linda, thank you very much. Thank you. A round of applause to Linda. Well, to establish this EU-wide project, of course, not one entity, not one country can carry it out, because there are many different aspects which you have to work on, amongst which working in an ecosystem or working across borders is a very important process. And that's why we have also guests from abroad here today, which we're very thankful for. And I hope you help me welcome on the stage stage with rich experience in the topic. Let's welcome and to give him us the broader picture about this topic, the project manager at the NOBID consortium, NOBID EID project representative, and also he is the technical director at the Norwegian Digitalization Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, Tor Alvik. Let's welcome Tor. Tor, welcome.
Hi, good morning. It's very nice to be here today. And also very honored to be actually able to speak to a tech startup conference. That's not every day you do as a government representative, so I'm really pleased with that. I actually have 2 introduction slides for my presentation. And that is not because I'm completely lost in PowerPoint templates. It is quite an important point, actually, because like Linda and all the other colleagues here, we are involved in the whole setup and work around the changes in ADAS. We both work as government representatives, which is the goal of our work is to actually pull the new changes in ADAS out in productions and out in the society. That is an ongoing process which takes quite a lot of time and effort. And as you heard, there is a very strict deadlines, which probably disturbs the night's sleep of my Latvian colleagues, the same as in Norway, even though we have a slightly different setup. And then we have the cooperation between us, which is in this regard around a large-scale pilot, which is set up by the Commission and the EU, where we can work together in a frame. So I've started working with this for quite a while ago, and like most of you that has gone to the university about the same time as me, have seen this picture. It's the standard picture of illustrating the problem of identity on the internet, right? There are basically no identity layer in the internet. And that's been ongoing from the end of the 1990s until now. And we still haven't solved it. And despite the effort of numerous different entities trying to work with this, there's NGOs trying to address this on a global scale. You have the big interest organizations like the UN, the World Bank, and so on and so on. It's basically very difficult to do. So when I started to work with digital identity, this was quite new, so there was not many government identity systems back then. So I got a book, and on page 1 there said, digital identity is 90% legislation and 10% technology. So then I felt this is probably the wrong work for me, but I'm still here, and they were actually quite right. It is very important to have a legislative framework around identity ecosystems and identity systems. And that's what's probably is great with the new IDAS. That you have this framework, it sets it in a legal frame, it makes it possible to actually produce services on a whole different level that you could do before. So why can we not just use identity systems that are disconnected from our state identities? You could do that, and you all have them, right? You have like your Google identity, you have your Apple identity, and so on. But it's a basic fundamental principle in our society that it is the state that provides your identity. It gives you a proof of who you are and what rights and obligations you have in the society. This has been ongoing forever. You issue a passport based on your identity registration. In the Nordics, we are so happy we have a population registry. It's the envy of all of our German and friends, colleagues. We talk for a very long time on how to issue a PID, I will come back to that, into the wallet. And we just sit there and say, but we have this covered. And it's a very strong tool that we actually have this very good quality state identity element. We also have a long tradition of doing digital identity with a very high coverage in our societies. So actually to get this chain to be a complete chain, and having the same quality both in the digital world and in the analog world is quite important, because when we are providing personalized services to the citizen, both in the private and public sector, it has to be done with the same security, the same quality, and the same approach as you do online and in the real world. And then I also believe, for that aspect, the changes in ADAS is quite important and also addresses a problem that is of great importance for us when trying to build service. You saw the same slide, a little bit different from Linda. So if you go further south into Europe, you have much lower coverage on EID that we have in the Nordics. You have different problems. We have the aspect of cross-border use, which is not great. ADAS didn't work for that. But why are the digital wallet important in our Nordic countries? We probably could do just as well with the whole ADAS. Some people will say we maybe not need to invest as much and change the systems that we have. But looking into the future, we need identity systems that do different things. It's not okay anymore just to have identities who tell you who you are, but they also need to help you with what you are allowed to do. And then there are fundamental changes in how this wallet actually works. Luckily, when we have the target of 80% by 2030, we are quite well placed, because we actually can just upgrade our systems to the digital wallet. So to distribute that in our societies is probably something that we will be capable to do. And that is something I will also take with me, because when you hear the discussion out in Europe, you hear a lot about how difficult it will be to roll out and put the wallet into production. That may be different in our Nordic countries. The changes are quite fundamental. So many of the shortcomings that we had in the large legislations are addressed in the new one. It gives us the tool to work with many of the problems that we have had. We have had also ongoing cooperations on this for several years. And some of the issues has been very complex to solve. I will come back to one of those, which is identity matching, just because we lack any kind of legal framework to address this. So that should be covered. The wallet introduces a lot of new concepts that we are not quite used to have in many of our countries. One that is central in Norway, where I come from, is that we have a public-private partnership when it comes to electronic identity. The new wallet has regulations that says this has to be used by every more or less entity, both in the private and government sector. That changes the playing field for how you do identity. Of course, that is of concern of some of our actors, but it also opens up a lot of possibilities from different actors. It's a lot easier with this wallet actually to get involved, build services, getting registered as a relying party. The costs will be different from you because the state have to pay for it, which is a big change. But these central changes are actually quite demanding for us, and that's why it is important to do this as a cooperation, building on how we're going to address that in the future, and also start getting involved early and seeing what kind of the benefits are. There are quite a lot of elements that are important to see. The yellow little circle up there is something that the state takes responsible for. The national identifier, the PID. It doesn't just mean that we are going to tell you what the information is. It also means that we are going to bind it to the user. We actually do all the expensive stuff when it comes to identity. So when you are in a country that luckily has state identity already, that's one issue. But for many others, this is something that is very costly when you're going to roll out an identity layer in services. That's covered by the wallet. You also have the great tool of as the stations. I'll come back to that, but that's a real important new element that you can use in developing new services. Maybe it's not that many actually reads the whole regulation because it's very long and the text can be very boring. But I want you to take note of, there is actually a difference between the wallet and at the stations. At the station, this was called a trust service. It's something that the market should provide. So building at the stations actually proves of something which you then can use to provide a service or a benefit for the citizens or the different private sectors, is a new way of working. It's also a completely new way to address data sharing. We have other regulations in the EU, for example, the Single Digital Gateway regulation, which also sets up a structure for sharing information between public entities when providing services. This addresses many of the same issues and problems. You have to get these aligned, but you also have to see the EDIS regulation in regarding to other coming EU regulation. I think that's an important point. For instance, to address a data space, if you go to the health sector, you will need identity wallet to actually get into there and get research data or any other kind of data that you want to look into. It is seen as an important tool in financial services. Colleagues talking about payment afterwards, so I'm not going to dive into that too much. But just think of how are we going to handle the digital currency and the digital euro. If you have an identity layer that's there, it would be kind of strange if you don't use this for addressing that. So when looking at the wallet, also try and look into how this is positioned around the different things that both is done by the EU already and also what's upcoming now in legislation. For the user, it adds new dimension that has not been there. The voluntary use of the wallet, it's important because it actually says that the user actually should get services also in the old-fashioned way. There should be no discrimination by existing identity frameworks. It should be free of charge. So when we that work with the system here free of charge, it's kind of disturbing because we need to pay for it. But it is a more broader picture than that because it is set up so that there should be an existing financial model around use of attributes and elements in the wallet, which actually provides a completely new market for providers. Elements as selective disclosure. For instance, verification of age. We have heard the discussions around how to protect the minor from harmful content on the internet. Both the EDIS regulation and the DSA regulation addresses this and maybe gives us new tools to also interact with large online platforms which is not covered by EU law directly as we are used to. To fast track this, also the Commission is providing a kind of mini wallet that we could start using already from the summer, but we will see how that would play out. But a lot of exciting stuff is happening on that area. When looking back to the attributes, look at some of the text that is in the regulation. It is actually information elements that in most cases have the same value as an official document. That means that you can take the attested attributes that come with the wallet or by the request of the user and use it in service design and service provisioning in a completely different way than you're used to. And it's not even that hard. We use this super simple drawing when talking to politicians. Then you have to use stick figures. But the essence here is quite simple, right? There are just a few roles here. There are the wallet issuer, which most of you probably never will be. And then there are the attested attribute providers that keeps things safe and sound, setting up a framework for providing attributes. Those are what is both called qualified and non-qualified, so there are different rules of how you can issue those. And then there are authentic sources that provides information. Those can be both government and private. And these information elements should be by request of the user. So this gives a completely new way to ask for information, which then can be used in services. You don't need that much any longer to sit in endless discussion with the government if we are going to issue you some information. We will probably find some law that prohibits that anyway. But in this case, this is under the control of the user. Of course, you need to take into account legal requirements anyhow, but this changes how you can think about the wallet in many ways. This is the actual drawing of the wallet. So when most people talk about the EU digital wallet, they tend to focus on the wallet. It is probably the most boring thing of the whole thing. The wallet will be provided under very strict security requirements. It will be heavily certified and subject to a lot of scrutiny. That means it is something that in most cases will be dealt with public entities and at the state level. That differences a lot from how we are used to thinking about wallets when working with startups and early adoption. But the different layers here in producing attestations, using them, providing on the right side a secure and level for relying parties. And our ongoing topic has been, how can we prevent fraud and misuse of the wallet? Yeah, that would probably be having on the level out there in the left, where people need to set up infrastructure for relying parties. We have them already, like in the finance industry, at least in Norway. All logins goes through a centralized federated system. There are lots of ways to address this also regarding the wallet. So I would like you to point to, Linda was discussing this a little bit. We have the reference implementation that's coming from the EU. It says a lot about the wallet, but more interesting is probably the reference architecture that's available. You can find it on GitHub. And the Commission even launched a new version, 1.5, 40 minutes ago. So you can easily download it. It's quite accessible and quite easy to read if you work with this. A new topic. The wallet should be non-discriminatory. Very strict requirements. This is something that the state needs to issue to all. And when you move into countries like us in the Nordic, we have a very high adoption of EID already. So we're actually dealing with, as a little bit different between the countries, and when we meet in our common projects, we have ongoing like pissing contacts of who is providing most of them. So one is doing 95%, the other one is doing 97%, and this changes a little bit. But the point is it's extremely high. So we're now dealing with the last part of the population which don't have a digital identity. And those are the ones that are covered by the new regulation. this is something that the state needs to provide for all citizens, regarding of age, which of course has to be secure anyway, but also people with disabilities and peoples that for some reason has been set outside the common regimes for digital identities. So that is also something that changes with the wallet and gives new opportunities. Linda shows this already. To make the new wallet ecosystem is a large collaborative effort. We are doing that together with our colleagues. We are working with the EU. The end result is legislation, implementing acts. This is what will be in law, what will regulate the wallet. But before that comes, we spend a lot of time on the reference architecture. It is possible for you to be involved and give feedback on this. It's actually heard by the Commission, taking into account. So I think the latest version, 1.5, had 280 contributors to the new version. So it's quite possible actually to provide feedback both to your government entities inside the large-scale pilots that we are working with and will continue working with, but also directly on the open consultations that are there. The large-scale pilots that we are working on has worked on a lot of different use cases. And you see the point of this now because the wallet touches upon a lot of different areas and legislation and difficulties. So you have to look at the whole user journey when you are providing those, even if it's payment, if it's a digital driver's license, if it's in school and accreditation and so on. So this is an important ongoing work for us, and it will continue. After the NOBID project ends, new will start up, as Linda said. But we also need to work bilaterally on many of these areas in the future in that regard. A large-scale pilot is a large corporate effort. It involves both government entities, private vendors, service providers, relaying parties, and so on. You also need to hear the opinion on stakeholders. So when we're working on payment, we have referent groups that provides us input. We have private vendors, banking. We have government-issued entities that provide the wallets and so on. I think it's important for you to try and get involved and start early looking on how you could probably use the wallet to provide services and new solutions for the citizen. But things takes time. We have an also ongoing Nordic cooperation on EID through the Council of Ministers. We have been working on that for quite a while to solve the problem. You can talk to Oscar who sits there. So this slide is actually from 2018. One element that we worked on is identity matching. It's how to find a citizen coming from another country in the country which is going to provide services on. Because we have this in our population registers, we need to find if you've been here before and if you have given you the service. This has been very hard to solve because it involves in building infrastructures in all the countries. So we have been approaching that, and now we are on the level that we actually have a state minister declaration that says we are going to solve this. We have ongoing projects, activities around it, so we hope to solve it. But the good thing is that in IDAS 2.1 there is Article 11A saying the state has to provide this. So this is the way legislation actually gives us great help to solve difficult problems, and I hope that you see the EIDAS effort as a way to address some of the issues that we have been dealing with for many years and see the possibilities in the framework that is there and how you can use it in your daily work. So these were the last slide for me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tor. A round of applause. We have some 5 minutes. Maybe we have some questions in the audience. Please do raise your hand. There's one question there. Hello, sir. What's your name? Who do you represent? And what do you want to know?
Hi, my name is Yanis. Hello, my name is Yanis from company Sehachi. We work with OEM wallet integrations, and my question is related to a wallet for legal entities. Is it something that is related to this wallet, or it is separate, or and what is in general the plan with that?
There's been an issue the whole time with the wallet effort from the Commission. It's very centered around physical persons. So if you look into the legislation, there is only a very brief reference to legal wallets. Also in the architectural framework that has been developed so far, there is very little reference on how to solve it for legal persons. Luckily, if everything now goes as planned, we will have a new large-scale pilot focusing very much on the business effort. It looks like it also is opening up a little bit around the work in the Commission, so there will be tracks on trying to deal with wallet for legal persons. We have in all our countries different actors which is quite interested in it. So we hope now we can see some development in this area also. But so far, to be frank, the focus has been on physical users.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, there's a question here. Welcome.
Hello, Margus from EUDIW, and actually interesting to understand your Norwegian perspective that bank ID is very used a lot. So how much better off Norway will be, and how fast people will move from bank ID wallet?
There are several ways to see that. You can see it as a big challenge to if my colleagues in bank ID were looking at this. There's one way to see it. They can see it as a big challenge, right? There's coming legislation, say the state has to provide this. But we have a very long tradition with the private-public cooperation between us. And it would be very surprising if we don't build on that cooperation. And you could probably see the wallet as just the next generation of bank ID.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any more questions to Tor? All right, I think we're good for now. Tor, thank you very much for the presentation. See you in the panel discussion. A round of applause. Tor Alvik. All right, moving on to the last presentation before the coffee break. Of course, when thinking about this wallet, well, there aren't any true precedents for what is about to be achieved in everything that was already mentioned. Top of mind, maybe solutions that came to mind to me were private sector initiatives like Apple or Google Wallet, but they cannot actually be compared because the EU digital wallet is national, EU-wide. It is not in the private hands, and the data is used only on national level, not for private use. And that is important because it changes how we look at it, and payments actually is a vital necessity in this, so to say, digital Swiss Army knife of a wallet. And our next speaker will actually cover the opportunities, the challenges of the payment function of the EU digital identity wallet, representing one of the partners in the project. He is the head of Baltic products and channels at SEB Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, Ilya Nogichevs. Welcome, Ilya.
All this, lovely. Hi, I'm Ilya. I work for SEB, and I think it was around 17 years ago when I joined the bank, and I'm psychologist by education, so nothing in terms of the finance or tech stuff, but I was very motivated by the person who currently is one of our board members, and he was telling a story. Right, and a very simple story, like how the normal people are swimming, and then how the bankers are swimming. That's why I'm here. And apparently I'm in the wrong bank, because actually today the bank is not the banking at all, actually. When we would look at the distribution of the things, and when we look from our investment perspective, bank is more like a technological company as well. But still, a couple of things about us, I think it's quite important to mention. So we are the strongest bank in the Nordics in terms of the corporate banking. We have quite a lot of shareholders who trust money to us. Therefore, we can actually lend to other people. Therefore, also our interest in terms of the participation of this specific project is there as well. And not only to safeguard our investments, but also to take a look basically where we see the biggest potential for our customers to grow. And I think participation in NOBID consortium also helps us to understand the future of payments. And I hope also actually it will help our balance sheet to grow a bit as well. I think people before me already explained the situation, and I actually would like to say thank you for trusting us as the SEB to be part of this. It's a long journey. I think we're there already 2 years. I haven't seen the wallet yet. And working in the bank, you are used actually to the things that you would like to see faster time to market. And I think in this specific case, for us also it was a challenge, right? Because I mean, I'm valued by the output, meaning that how fast I bring something to my customer. But in this case, when we have started the discussions, and I think, you know, Tor will not allow me to lie, we were quite pushy. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's give it a try. Let's see it. Let's test on the customers, right? Because this is quite important. Will it work or not? But what we have taken out of this discussion actually so far, and I really hope that we will also include it to documentation back to the Commission, is the discussions, right? What is the business model? What are the potential output of the specific identity wallet, right? What can we be built on top? And payments is one of the use cases, I think, which might have a future in a sense. And actually maybe also answering to your question about the bank ID. We are partially also owners of the bank ID as the bank. Therefore, we are also looking like how it will evolve. Will our investment stay? We are also owners of the Swish. If you compile these two items into one and you let it scale, maybe this is where we need to go, right? It's not yet the answer on our side. We still would like to explore the possibilities and, you know, how it actually works. But I think the number of wallets is not the thing. Super wallet, maybe, right? This is where we need to be cautious and actually take a look. I think first, let's start like what kind of problem we would like to solve. Because sometimes people who are responsible for legislation are coming and saying this is the new law and you just need to do that. We are very practical, like what is the problem we would like to solve, and then we can come back with the solution, what it is. So if we look from the statistics perspective, wallet is not the problem, right? Quite a lot of companies and people are using that. Around 40% of global population already in 2020 were using wallets. Would it be Apple Wallet? Would it be Google? Would it be something else? It's already out there. And we actually see that the trend is growing and the number of payments is way higher than the traditional means, meaning that the adoption is there. If we would look from the perspective of the future, somebody said 80%, let's see. But we already project that around 60% of the population will use one or another digital wallet for the payments. In countries in Asia, they have surpassed, it's around 90% of the cases. If you've been in China and you have used Alipay, no, I mean, it's very simple solution which actually covers whatever you want. Super app. From the technological perspective, we also see that there is a quite strong push from the players, right? You see, Apple Pay, Google Pay is the thing what we are talking about. This is the thing what we're using on the daily basis. A lot of our customers are using that as well. But the companies who are actually in the card business, they're not sleeping, right? They don't want to lose the market share. And what they're saying that around 100% of cards will be tokenized in 2030. What tokenization means? It means that basically that your traditional card details will be digitized and either put to your phone or a watch or something else. And actually, we see that already we're going in extremes there. because I mean, for example, I have my card in the watch, I have in the phone, and one more item because maybe I will lose something. I have used this one only 2 times, but the phone is the thing, right? Is what you're using every day for the payment for something else. MasterCard is created, actually have created already a solution in response to the big tech players to safeguard their revenue streams. So basically click to pay is the solution for the moment as well. And Norwegians are quite happy. They are one of the first who have opened the Apple NFC technology in order to put wallet already there. The ones who are using Apple, they know like it's double click and you pay. It was closed for the beginning. Everybody said like, you know, until this is there, why exactly I should change to something else? It's open up. And actually in this case, we can only say thank you, European Commission, for pushing that. Meaning that my expectations toward digital identity wallet will be on the same level of user experience, right? We need to keep up. And then I think it will work. Big tech. We see that around 36% of iPhones is there, meaning that these people faster or later will use digital wallet, which goes through American rails, like literally. Meaning that there is a question on the European Union, is it okay for us? Right, from the sovereignty perspective, from something else, is it okay for us that we are allowing other country to manipulate the market in terms of the payments? Baltics are a bit less using the iPhones for the moment, except for Estonians, very rich nation. But what we will see basically from the world perspective is that there is a bit of the erosion of the consumer relationship. We see that there is like no difference between countries, right? We are losing it because of this globalization and using the same Apple Pay solution. And then the next question, I think what we have touched in the very beginning, what is the data usage? Is it okay for me to share this amount of information with somebody else by knowing that I'm not in control? Is it okay for Apple to know where I'm buying something and what I'm buying something? And therefore, European Commission stands in and say, hey, we will solve all of your problems one way or another. You have heard that each and every member state would like to develop its own wallet. And this is very European thing. We like to build ourselves one at least, maybe 2 per country. And then we expect that it will actually scale up at work. And we have faced this situation that actually doesn't. If I go to another country, my solution actually doesn't work because the schema is different. Or I need to pay extra in order basically to go into the schema. So the wallets in Europe is not something new. There are a lot of solutions already on the market and been there for many, many years. But none of them have scaled to the potential to be cross-European usage. So let's take the same Sweden, for example, and the Swish. Around 85% of the customers are using Swish. And Swish is a cool app where you can actually do the payments. You can pay for a purchase, you can split the bills, etc., etc., etc. If we look at the Baltics, there is nothing, right? Yes, we do have request to pay solution. For each bank we have individually. We can pay with card and with the Apple Wallet, we can also pay in the purchase, but that's it. Therefore, what we are thinking and discussing, like, why it's not scaling up, why it's not working. And number one is this interoperability, because it just physically doesn't work, meaning that we need to sort it out. And I think the digital identity wallet is the solution to sort it out. We have inconsistent user experience across market. I think when we were implementing the e-signature in Latvia, the same mobile solution, we from the Banking Association have spent hours and hours together with the state in order to agree what are the steps for the person to get the e-signature in the phone and how it will actually operate. And the reason is because we saw that we have one experience in the market where there is a great user experience, it's scaled, it's being used, but if we would go for the first prototype where you have 15 steps, how can you actually say it? Therefore, what we would like to push, and I think we're really doing that in the NOBID project, is that customer first. Yes, trust is important. Yes, framework is there. Yes, all of these numbers and words in the legislation, and there should be people who actually read it and understand. But we see that our benefit is actually to bring this customer experience, right? As simple as it can be, as interoperable as it can be. And one more item, and nobody likes to speak about the costs, again, except banks. There is quite a lot of infrastructure which is duplicating a lot of things. And somebody is paying for that. And if it is a government solution, congratulations, you are paying for that. Right? So when somebody says that it will be free of charge, think twice. Will it be really like that? As a bankers, we know nothing is free of charge. So stay up. But on the same time, I think we cannot concentrate only on negative things. It's also the possibilities or opportunities which are there. So the first, we have very good relationship with customers. And this is one of the options how we can scale up the solutions to use the partner who already have a good relationship with the customers. Right? The ones who are using state services have experience, especially in Latvia, how Latvia EUDIW actually works. It's brilliant. The ones who are using it in Spain cannot say such things. So this is actually where our strength is there as well. And one thing, and again, this is mostly for us as well, what are the new revenue possibilities? And this is actually also maybe a question back for you as a startups or people who actually have this business acumen, how you can make sure that this wallet works. Identity will work, no worries. Government will make sure about it. Payment flow will work as well. We will do our best in order to push it through. But what else? And this was also your question, right? So why? Why I need to download it? What is it for me? And what are these additional attributes? You know, people are calling them attributes, but what is the value for me as the customer? Is it some information from the loyalty perspective? Is it some sort of convenience when I'm applying for specific services? Would it be health? Would it be purchase or something else? This is what we together need to figure out, put it to the wallet, and actually make use of it. And I'm more than sure that the revenue streams there are quite interesting for all of us. So let's talk about for these successor factors for the local wallets, right? So by learning actually what is happening. From the first, and I think we have talked about it, right? So what is the problem what we would like to solve? And it's quite clear. It's interoperability, it's easy enough of use, and also, I mean, if I recall correctly, we always start with the person-to-person payments. A reminder, in Baltics, we don't have such solution. Very good possibility to scale the business up just by adding this simple feature of splitting the bills. As simple as that. The second was simplicity. Nobody will use the solution where you have 15 steps for onboardings and 25 more to add your account. No, literally. We will lose you at the fourth, maybe, in the best case scenario, so it will not scale up. And in order for you to use it on a daily basis, it should be double click, not more. In this case, Apple have done a very good job. They have put the bar, so we need to either match or make it a bit better. And I really hope that in this case, European Commission will not make it worse for Apple, therefore for everyone, but actually we will make sure that the wallet works in a way that it should work. Network effect, this is basically how you push or pull the same customers or utilizing your possibilities to get the market share. Latvians remember 2017. I remember it pretty well because it was the year when we have closed down the code cards usage to log into the internet bank. And a reminder, internet bank login was, and I think still is, #1 solution to log into Latvia LV. Oh, last year we have changed a bit. 90% of the people have used that, meaning the banks also know something about the digital identity. But when we have made this radical change, basically we have taken out these code cards and given customers the digital solution. And there are only two options. Either it's a PIN calculator if you don't own a phone, or it's a digital solution to use it. So when we think about the scalability or customer adoption, I think this is what we know and this is what works. If you unite together, if we will allow banks or make them to push through to the market this specific solution, we know that within 6 months of time, you will get the majority of customers using that. But let's remember, it's not the problem to push the solution for the person, especially if government have created it and said that it's mandatory to use. What is important is to make sure that it is benefit for me to use that. So people are not coming back to some old habits or other tools. And innovation and investment, I think this is my wish, not to focus only on a couple of use cases for the digital identity wallet, but literally think and think broader. What it is, what we need to put there. People are calling it wallet, I like to call it as a purse, but basically this is something what you own, this is something what is always with you. What should be there? So it's convenient for me to use. Let me maybe remind you that no, this is not the only thing which is happening. Not to think that it is basically the panacea and other people are slimming. So of course the ADIS regulation is there. Tor have explained it what it is. There is digital euro coming. We are thinking how to together work with the wallet with this solution. Would it make sense or not? What are the benefits and what not? I would say it would be stupid if we will not use this situation and not use this specific use case in the wallet. But there are also European payment initiatives, and they have created their own wallet at the moment, which is quite scalable in Germany. And they're also actually discussing it with us in the Baltics. Then we need to make sure that one or another, all of them works. Right? So what exactly would work for us? We are currently here, right? We are discussing how the wallet should work, what it is in terms of the technology, what it is in terms of the RF, how it will actually work in terms of the user experience, but it will end. And it will end actually in the summer this year. Meaning that by this time we should know, will this be adopted or not. But we already are looking actually on the next stage. What is the possibility to scale this solution? What is the possibility to involve more users, more people, more use cases in order to make sure that this app will actually work? And this is also coming to the question about what should there also be an app for the legal entities or small businesses? My perspective is yes. Me as the bank, for example, I would like to see a solution that I can onboard SME customer by utilizing this rather than getting data from millions of registries, right? And this is where I'm actually ready to pay in order to have it in a convenient way. And this is what we're actually looking like, what is there in addition for the identity, for the payment, but maybe there is something else. I think we talked about usability, but we really wanted to show you the most complicated use case for the wallet. Because, I mean, if we speak about NFC technology, it's quite easy. It's double click and that's it. But we also know that there are merchants or there are people who don't use NFC technology or they don't have it in the phone. And as we have explained before, it should be not discriminatory to anyone, meaning that you should be able to use it although you don't have a fanciest iPhone ever. So how we see it at the moment, that there are small merchants, for example, who are, I don't know, selling apples once per year, right? There is no huge business case for them to have POS terminals or invest into some sort of like extra technological solution to collect money from the people. But they also want to be available, meaning that they're not ready to collect the cash because actually it's a hassle to prove it later and actually what to do, etc., etc. So we have thought on the solution that merchant with their actually phone can generate a QR code You, as the user of the digital identity wallet, can scan the QR code, approve it with the Face ID, and the payment is completed. So for us, the steps are set to be as simple as possible. This is what we're after. And I think that's it.
A round of applause to Ilya. All right, do I dare to ask, are there any questions before the coffee break? Yes, there is. Let's get a microphone right there. And let's see what questions we have.
Janis again here. My question is, we have this EU wallet with the payments part, and then in Europe we have a SEPA payments framework. Do they come together? Is EU wallets payments part works in the framework of SEPA, or there are possible some clashes, or how this aligns?
Not only, I would say. I think when we were discussing on the way how the payment rails should work, we were mostly looking at the instant payment solution, right? For us in the Baltics, it's a natural thing. You do not expect payment to come less than within 2 seconds, right, for the merchants, etc. Therefore, this is what we are after. On the same time, reminder, when we speak about the digital identity wallet, we are also speaking about non-EU countries. And therefore, there are some questions in terms of like what to do with FX, how to change krona to euro, who is bearing the risk of cost, because it's a different calculations under that. And this is what we'll actually continue within the project to make sure that it works for us as well.
All right. One more question right here. Our two most popular question authors. Thank you for that.
I have a question about that we learned that this wallet is open source, everybody can set it up and get it running, and we have 45 like wallets, Apple and Google. So can everybody register a wallet in Latvia or Norway and just like do it, their thing?
Please don't take it as it easy as you just get the code and the GitHub and you can create it yourself. No, it will not work like that. The process, as Dr. have explained, is very, very, very complicated in order to get the attestation of creation of such solution. It needs to be registered, it needs to be supervised. Currently in Latvia, there is only one company who have done it, and it is LVRTC. In Estonia, we have SK, right, which is a company which is privately owned, not government owned, but privately owned, who have done actually the same. They haven't yet, and I'm not sure will they do the wallet, but they have created the identity service. And if you ask them what it actually costs in order to go through all of the audits to make sure that your solution is as safe and sound, no, you can ask Aleph.
But like, I mean, Apple has the money, so if they want to do it, they can just do it, or can, let's say, government say that no, you're not allowed to register your wallet?
Tor, would you like to take this one?
I can't answer for Latvia or such, but in the legislation there are 3 possibilities for approving a wallet, and it's always the state that does it. It is the state that approves a wallet in their own country. So you can either develop it yourself, you can have some kind of relation, for instance, a contract on or other system around wallet providers, or you can adopt wallets that comes from outside actors like big international wallets. But it will always be the national states that decide what you are going to implement in your own country.
All right, excellent. I see that there is potential for the panel discussion that we will have after the coffee break, and we will definitely do that. But right now, a round of applause to Ilya. Thank you. So, right now we've heard many different perspectives about what will be achieved, but what do you think? We want to hear from you as well. So during the coffee break, for people right now here in this room, there's a whiteboard and some sticky notes. Please do post down what kind of possibilities, functions, ID, documents do you want to see in this wallet? For people watching us in YouTube, please do use the comment section. Write down what you think think? What kind of functions do you want to see? And later on, maybe we will have the chance to go over it in the panel discussion, because from my point of view, maybe it's education documents, maybe it's a fishing license, maybe there are other creative ideas. We want to hear from you, and please do that. But right now, for people watching us online, bon appetit. We're serving whatever you have in the fridge, so please go and check. For the rest of you, you have the pleasure to enjoy the coffee and snacks that magically appeared behind you during these last few minutes. So right now, bon appetit, and see you back at 2 o'clock. Thank you. watching us live on YouTube right now. Happy that you are with us here. My name is Artis Ozoliņš, and today on the first part of the event we actually looked at several important topics and aspects of the digital identity wallet, and in the second part we want to go more in depth, maybe talk over some key points, key aspects, and see what else needs to be thought about for the project to carry on successfully and for us in the end to have a safe, unified and across EU level digital identity wallet that we're all very happy about and ready to use. This discussion had a somewhat provoking title. We can discuss if it's appropriate maybe during the discussion, but the double-edged sword of the EUDIW or the EU digital identity wallet. Let's find out what are those double sides in this discussion, but let's welcome with a round of applause speakers who have joined me in this panel here today. Right next to me is sitting the head of the Cybersecurity Governance and Compliance Division at the Cyber Incident Response Institution of the Republic of Latvia, Mr. Kristians Teters. Welcome. Welcoming back on the stage the project manager at the NOBID consortium and the technical director at the Norwegian Digitalization Agency, Tor Alvik. Welcome, Tor. Right next to him, the head of Baltic Products and Channels at SEB Bank, Ilya Nogichevs. Turning to the stage, the Director of the Digital Policy Department at the Ministry of Smart Administration and Regional Development of Latvia, Rinalds Celmiņš. And we're happy to see with us, representing the Latvian State Radio and Television Center, its head of the E-Services Division, Arnis Pērkons. Let's delve into today's discussion. I was actually talking with Tor before the discussion that you did a very good job, the presenters, in the first part, because some of the questions were covered, but today's discussion is, we're trying to find out things that we need to work on, but also it's quite informative for the rest of the society to understand better these topics, so we might overlap some of the things, but that's on purpose. Definitely, maybe I will start with the gentleman that did not present in the first part, and maybe you can give your perspective why and how this could be a game changer, and maybe what the biggest problem is that you see right now that should be dealt with. All right, Arnis, you ready?
So, first of all, I'm really glad to see you all here. And regards to the question, why digital wallet will be the game changer, from my point of view, the existing products, which are already provides your identity in the digital environment, is just the digital identity and signing things. In the digital wallet, you can provide with other stuffs like your driving license, like your medical documents or education documents. This possibility is wide, really wide. And that's why this will be the game changer in this market.
Mm-hmm. All right, and from your perspective, what is the one thing that we should look out for, maybe the problem in all of this?
From my point of view, from my perspective, the main, I think that this is not the problem. The challenge will be that in a lot of European countries, there's no one identificator. For example, in Latvia, we have this personal code, which allows to ensure that you are you, actually. But in a lot of countries, there's no such a thing, and there will need to be some kind of way how we can prove that the Josef from Munich is the Josef from Munich. Mm-hmm. So that's the, I think, most challenging thing in this project.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you for highlighting that, because that's very important. We're going to touch upon that a little bit later on in the discussion, but a very important point, because different systems, different approaches, and that has to be melded together for this to work. Kristians.
from our point of perspective, the most challenging thing is to ensure that cybersecurity is dealt within all stages of the project, because as Arnis mentioned correctly, we currently have the trust service providers with signatures, identity providers, some plastic cards, but in the wallet it will come together as one. And in order to chain to be secure, you have to maintain security throughout the chain. And there could be no weak links. And since there is many parties in that project, it would be challenging. But I would say it's manageable.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see this as a game changer? Is there one feature or aspect of the whole idea of the project that could change the way we approach things? What would you highlight?
I would say that we need to synchronize the way we work, and also how all these components from the point of security, how that they are trusted, and well, as well the supervision, it should be throughout the whole thing. It's not like certify and then forget about it, but it needs to be continuous.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. We heard in the audience there are representatives from startups, from companies, probably a few watching us online as well. And the spirit of TechChill actually is innovation and driving things forward for technology to benefit society. So, for the rest of you, a question everyone can join in here. Do you see, first of all, that the digital identity wallet could be an innovation driver? And in what aspects? Maybe that's an extension to the features question that I asked before, but is it an innovation driver by itself, the idea, and maybe how? Welcome, open question. Who's ready to answer? I hope it's not too hard of a question.
Maybe if I may jump in, two aspects from my side. Definitely, it's an innovation driver, since we see that already by presenters, a lot of presenters highlighted interoperability. And that is one of the key questions across the whole EU. At the moment, what is being done is, on technical level, is being developed architecture reference framework. Today it was published 150 on GitHub. So it means that the basic architecture requirements will be unified across the EU. And based on that, you have the legal and technical requirements that are unified for everybody, so you can build up. The ecosystem is clear, the rules are clear. Security, data privacy, etc. So innovations can build upon that. And the second game changer would be definitely data philosophy. Not to dwell into terms of GDPR, etc., the philosophy that is in EU, my data are my data. So in the wallet, you'll be able to disable, delete the data, the attributes that you have requested. So it means also giving access to my data will be upon the request, and I do verify, do I give the access or not? I don't know, in a hospital or to some other service, do I give access to my blood sample results or not? And this is definitely a game changer in a mindset, and also with a view to our own privacy, my personal one.
Interesting. So you could actually say that this the EU digital identity wallet is like a snowplower that takes care of other problems for startups to scale in Europe, opens up gates and windows. Yes, Tor?
I think actually it's in the name of the regulation. It says identity framework, not wallet. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is that you can actually build services that would have the impact of between 400 and 500 million customers, instead of maybe 2 or 3 million or 5 million, depending on which country you live in. I think that is something you should look into. It gives you a whole new possibility of having an identity layer in the services you build and using that across the whole union.
Mm-hmm. Ilya, would you say that's a fintech sector advantage that will benefit from this, or is it broader?
I think I will answer your first question initially, and then we can. I think, and what I would like to bring a customer perspective actually to this issue, because
I'm more than sure that the tech people will build it perfectly well and stable, and the security guys will make sure that, I mean, it works. And the government will push it to us, so we will be able to use it, and in some cases mandatory accept. But for me, it's also the question, like, why, right? So I have 165 apps on my phone today. Do I use all of them all the time? I'm not. But I have them in case if something is needed. And I'm quite an early adopter, meaning that, of course, I'm trying new things, etc. So I will buy this solution for sure. But then I was asking myself and my colleagues what we can do in order for our customers to use it, like a normal customer, my mom, right? And what we were thinking about is this: what would be if we would actually segregate and put together the needs of the customer on the daily basis, right? And for us, it is in some cases identity, in some cases it's payment, for some it's very important to have a fishing license, right? But basically, let's put it all together, and then you know that there is one app or one solution what you can use on a daily basis, you get benefits out of it, etc. And if that will be the case, I would still say, how come it's innovation? I mean, China is using it for years, but I think for us as Europeans, this is a very, very good step forward. I think from that perspective. Coming back to the fintechs and others, I think, I don't think it's only the finance attributes which you can put to the wallet, and I really love the sign there in the end of the room, like, what do you want to see in your wallet? I think this is one of the most important questions what we need to find out together. Right, what we want to see there.
Mm-hmm. All right, anything to add here?
Maybe a fast comment. I maybe misread it, but the whole concept of wallet being mandatory is for public, for governments to provide the opportunity for the citizens. It will be an option. You can not take it. You can live on your phone without it. It's not a mandatory one. It's an option for us, for governments, to provide citizens with a tool. If you don't want to use it, for example, there are lots of groups that are maybe not so skilled. Maybe the gadgets or phones are not so advanced, security-wise, etc. So there will be other solutions that might be taken up, but it's not as such that the wallet will be mandatory, and if you don't use it, there will not be other options. Mm-hmm. Just a small clarification.
Oh, yes. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. For the user, it's absolutely voluntarily to use it. And I think for us as government is not to be too excited about the digital solutions. We should actually provide services for all citizens, depending on whether you're digital or not. When it comes to the mandatory acceptance by the different sectors in society, there's two ways to look at that. And one way is to look at that you're being forced upon a solution in your sector, be that being finance or mobile industry or whatever. Another way to look at it is actually this is a tool that maybe levels the playing field a little bit. It gives a lot more opportunities for smaller entities for getting into the market earlier without having to taking these heavy investments on identity solutions. So you can see it both ways. It probably depends a little bit on the way you're working, but I hope that this is something that will benefit all.
Also, I would like to add that we should be very careful building up this solution because, for example, those email apps which we have, we don't need to push in this wallet. For example, so things which is for the different ways how to use those services. Those are different, and then solution which works for everything probably don't work at all in some other cases. So we need to go step by step building this solution, not to implement all the things which we have already in our phones. As you said, you have 100 apps in your phone. We don't need to make some super app which can can stand all of those your 100 apps.
Yeah, I think you have a point, and from the state perspective, I agree. Most probably we should not push everything into one. But what I'm thinking is that we need to be smart in the way how we use money, right? So we are using quite a lot of European money in order to get it out. And it would be not very saimniecisks? Latvian word very, I have no idea how it's in English, but you need to be like cautious with the things what you have, right? Not to overspend, etc. Meaning that I would appreciate that it was not just like one more thing what we have delivered and it is there for you, maybe some of you will use it. But actually, I personally see that it's a great opportunity for the ecosystem. You have said the fintech organizations, yes, maybe some of them as well. Here are people who are thinking or know a lot about the biometrics, right? We have people from the health industry, etc. For me, this is actually enabling for them in order to chip in, right? And maybe it will not be a super app in Europe with all of our regulation and stuff in the beginning, maybe, but I think it really creates a good rail, right?
Maybe a fast comment. On this note, we should never compromise on security and data. So that's why we see there's no cutting corners, as simple as complex it may sound. So that's why the security guys and girls are really worried about the next step when we're starting to talk about AI agents. And if I ask, please apply for this course. Oh, you need the digital signature. Okay, do it now. And the agent does it. Well, there becomes already the next phase of innovation. But again, the security is the one that we do not compromise.
If I may, I think you're bringing a really good point. But I think it's not only security, it's also this literacy of us, right? How easy it to give a credential just like with one click or I accept button. But do we understand what it means? In this case, wallet will have the highest standard. Basically, I mean, you can sell a house just with a click, unfortunately or fortunately. Meaning that I would appreciate that when we scale up this solution, that we all understand what our clicking means, right?
To add on what Ilya said, couldn't agree more, is that you have security measures, but what we see today is that some of the scams are using the, it's called, what is the
functionality given to us?
No, the social engineering, yes, that was the word. And we also need to educate our users. And that could be seen also as one point of the chain that you need to elaborate. Because you have technical measures, procedures, laws, etc. But if you have a user which fails, I would not say every time, but some of the times it's very high risk with the centralized app, which would be wallet.
Exactly. And I wanted to touch upon this aspect in our next part of the conversation, that is security part, because we talked about it in the presentations, we've touched upon it now, but I think it's a worthy enough topic to dive deeper into, because from a onlooker's perspective, from my point of view, so we gather data, there are service providers, data, personal data is traveling. A lot of these headlines that we've seen in news in the past that have been used by cyber criminals. Also the mentioned social engineering part. If we make it easier for the person to do something, it's easier for somebody to convince him to do it, right? So maybe we can go over how this is carried out in some greater detail, how the safety mechanism that was mentioned in the presentations in the first part carries out that security is unbreakable, so to say. Of course, nothing is unbreakable, but...
Well, if you look into the identity systems we have today, there are not very many successful attacks on the technical core itself. And I'm sure, after working with my colleagues, some of them are German, just saying, I think that we will be able to take care of the security in the core components. A much bigger challenge is what we talked about. How can we educate our public? How can we work with service providers, relying parties that goes into this ecosystem so that we are able to find misuse and fraud. It's a very challenging thing. In many countries, you also have a very kind of distributed responsibility for that. Let's take Norway for an example. We have BankID, which is a private firm providing the identity systems. Then you have great fraud and misuse work within the banking sector. But now we are using BankID for many public services, so we need to broaden that out. And this is something we would have to do to a much larger extent when taking the wallet into the whole of the society and many other use cases. We need a total different take on how to address misuse.
Maybe I can only share experience from the banking industry because I think, yeah, it was 2017 when we have implemented Smart ID for our customers in Latvia. And it was one of the biggest topics actually for us, right? We give quite advanced solution for the customer. Will he or she be able to use it? Or hopefully he will not be able to use it to full extent because actually on these few cases when you need this highest signature. And I think it worked for us because we explained a lot, not only how to use it, but also actually in which cases you should be quite cautious and secure. But reality, unfortunately, is that even in our bank, our customers, there are some who believes in Prince from Nigeria. They do believe that if they will transfer a couple of €1,000s to his account, they will be back millionaires again. Of course, we have implemented many sophisticated anti-fraud solutions in order to catch it. And then we have a conversation with the customers and really checking like, are you sure? And there are still cases that, yes, I would like to proceed. Don't stop me. Don't regulate me. I want to make sure that I'm rich and happy and this is the love of my life or whatever. So I think we have tried to do it through the banking, right, to educate customers from the fraud perspective. We do it from the government perspective by saying it more and more, but we need to find more ways, actually, how to make sure that people are critically thinking before they are topping. But at the same time, I think let's not over-invest as well, because if it will be a solution with 21 steps of verification and then maybe your mother should answer to these questions, etc., it will not be scalable. So there should be some sort of the balance.
Then it's a matter of usability. Yes, Christian.
Yes, I would like to add on that we are also working with the general public through our technical services, which it's actually like there is one dimension of educating the public, but also I would say it's nice if you give them a tool. For instance, we launched the application of DNS firewall last year, which has an option about also these malicious callers to block the numbers. So there is also should be a preventive component to that. One thing is to educate people not to fall into these traps of social engineering, but also it's kind of if you have a tools that attackers could not get to me, I would not click on that link. I would not get that malicious call and etc.
Yep. Yeah, well, adding on top of what has been said, cyber hygiene is a horizontal issue. So that is the path, the work that will be needed to be done all around the world. So, example, don't put your PIN code in a bus or in a public transport where everybody can see it. As simple as that. But yes, that is the challenge and the work that will be ahead of all of us. I would say maybe it's more of a, we can use the term collective responsibility to educate also from innovators' side, businesses' side, government side, from all sides, that the audiences which are more vulnerable, as already said, technology-wise, we can be robust and bulletproof, but we see these examples. And one more of the examples where we see in the next step where we will definitely approach the audiences, maybe that those come and require more digital aid, is through state and government client services. I don't know how many of you know that we have established a network in Latvia. During COVID, we became 100% digital, but then there was a request that there are people who do not have technical equipment or skills to navigate with the ID or reader. So you can go to these client centers and you are navigated through with a literate person who is technically literate and guide you through the service and also connect, in case needed, to the remote service of state revenue service or whatever you name it. So this is another channel, but yes, it's a challenge, but we'll need collectively to work on it.
And you cannot overlook that, because there are still people who live offline. Maybe they can't, maybe they don't, they have some disability, they don't have the technical support. So this is very important, that has to be highlighted.
Also, I would like to point out that the solution is built in the way that citizen or client or don't give away all the data. They give separately data, so I don't need to give away my personal code if the necessary is just to know that my age is, for example, 43. So this thing helps too in this cyber criminals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Like a safeguard mechanism, not to give too much away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, like in apps in your phone, they're getting better. You can control what you give away, but sometimes it's just easier to click allow all photos, right?
If you pay attention to
if
that.
you pay attention,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem, right?
For me personally, it's the biggest problem. I have a daughter and she's 10, and all of her best friends knows her passcode. No, for the phone. No, that's it, right? I mean, what kind of security we are talking about? And by knowing the passcode of the iPhone, you basically can do everything, right? So I think this cautious, I mean, of course, we will build the systems and all of the mechanisms, etc. But I would really appreciate our thinking how to educate our children, because I think it also starts from them, and how to educate a bit more vulnerable part of the society. Right. So how to make sure that we are not doing that. One of them is, of course, very basic principle thing. Don't put all of the eggs in one basket. No, don't add your account, which has all of your salary and savings, maybe in the beginning, right?
And then we come to the part of usability, because sometimes in great ideas we work so much on the security part, and it is of course a valid point, that sometimes we sacrifice some usability. How to gain both of these worlds so that it is that easy as taking a phone, double clicking, and the wallet is there, and I don't worry about anything else. In the same time, securing and working on all these security issues. Is there a good solution from the project perspective?
I don't see it as any different from any other service development. You need to balance security and usability. There's no way around that. And being a secure environment, that gives extra focus on that. We have seen it, at least with us, many times when we try to develop government services. Some has crashed horribly because we don't focus on usability. Some has succeeded. And then this has been the success factor that we were able to take into account how to use this. It's seen as valuable and simple to use. And I don't see that the wallet as anything else. It's just an added security element that maybe makes the tasks a little bit more difficult. But yeah.
Are there any like UX practices that are incorporated? Maybe you can speak more on that.
It's still early phase, right? So we're developing this. But there is one great thing about it. We are not alone. 27 countries needs to make this a success. So there are now 27 parties working on the usability of the wallet. And that gives a much broader focus and impact than maybe are used to when building these kinds of services. So maybe from the payment part of NOBID you could add some. You have talked a bit about the use of QR codes and so on. So we're trying to look into that, but this collective. Yeah.
Sure. I think when we have a discussion on the usability in our management teams, I think everybody have an opinion. Should the button be there or there? But that's why we have people who knows actually. We have UX experts, as simple as that. And for the NOBID project, we have allocated 2 people who are working only for usability exercise, meaning what is the problem, what the person would like to save, and this is before we drawing the screens, really understand. Then they draw the user journey, how it actually should work. We test it with the customer, and only then actually we apply security elements. Because our understanding shows that the customer don't care about security. He needs a service. At the specific moment in time, I would like to receive something. Would I like to buy something, or I would like to pre-fill the data, right? I need it now. And then it's also for us on the backside to think how to make sure that it's secure and everything works. Or as you have said, how we can preventively block incorrect request.
What is the biggest UX challenge in this project? Is there one, or is it all smooth and buttery?
No, let's, again, digital wallet is not a new thing, right? How many of you are using Apple Pay or Google Pay? No, right? I mean, this is not the problem what we need to say. I mean, from the user perspective or customer perspective, it's not the biggest challenge. We see majority of challenges on the merchant side, right? How to integrate this solution with my ERP system so it's not a hassle in addition for me in a sense. In the process of the wallet, there is also discussions on the process of onboarding, right? So how I can register myself and give my information to that. So it's secure, but it also, like, I'm not lost on the way, I think.
When looking at usability and design, you cannot look at a wallet alone. So you have perspectives around payment, but you will meet this in every single use case and every single implementation of the wallet because it functions in a context. It's part of a service that you're going to provide. So, I mean, it would be probably a great market for UX designers in the years to come.
You mentioned the 27 countries. That's, of course, a benefit because 27 sides are looking at all of these questions, and that is on one point, it's very good. The other side of the sword, to come back to the title of the discussion, is 27 sides with their systems, their ID codes, their approaches, their mentality, their culture. How does this play out, or EU says it and we do it? Is it as simple as that, or are there some things that have to be taken into consideration when applying this for 27 countries?
A heck of a lot of meetings. We have 120 maybe meetings this year on the RF. We have 60 meetings that you have to show up to, and then it's the voluntarily one. There's a lot of cooperations to get this done. That is said, it's actually progressing, and we are able to cooperate. We are able to carry this through. And when it comes to these solutions, yes, there are cultural differences, but maybe not that major that it makes it difficult to do.
Since I remember correctly, from IDAS 1, there used to be, for VAD schemes, the interoperability requirements. If I'm not mistaken, it's also taking place with the wallet as well.
Sure. Who else? Different perspectives?
Yeah, well, adding on top, as already mentioned, the common requirements architecture reference framework is being developed. That is one thing, but again, it's a collective responsibility. That's all. Also, one example is already one of the speakers was mentioning the 4 projects. There are different member states, different consortiums. One is working on finances, the other on driver's licenses, the third one on health issues, the fourth one on education attributes. So basically starting the debate, and actually we should all take note that the wallet should be here in 2 years. It's not today, the identity wallet. Sorry. So again, we are starting very early. The technical work is being carried out, and we are already for 1 year already having several discussions and working on these issues and discussing with people and different use cases and all the onboardings, etc. So we are 2 years ahead, but the debate needs to be started now, all the onboardings, all the mind preparations, etc. So that's also essential point.
Yeah, and also you see in now most of the countries have active pilot projects looking at the actual implementation. So a lot of people is getting involved in the work now. You can see the amount of people showing up to meetings and discussing it's growing daily. So I believe the Commission needs to buy a new license for WebEx soon. But there is really been a big change lately from being quite an internal discussion to bringing a lot of attention.
So, and basically the documentation is changing day by day, and this 2 years from now, from the past year till this digital wallet implementation is not a big time. The time is running out, and as I said, if the documentation are changing, then there need to be possibility to change this project by self in those 2 years. We can't build an app or solution today and said after 2 years into 2027 there will be the working app. No, in this year, for example, in the end of this year can be some kind of changes in the documentation, and we need to be possible to adapt those things in the wallet. So 2 years, the time is not so much.
Mm-hmm. That points out a risk, a probability of delay. Any other things everyone involved in the project should look out for?
Maybe one more to put it into perspective, that we shouldn't be looking at it as a silo thinking, since sectoral legislations and sectoral initiatives are also following the wallet. Example might be driver's license directive, whatever it is. I'm sorry for not quoting it, but there is a requirement that it should be ready for wallet and usable. So again, sectoral approaches are following the wallet. Also mentioned digital euro, also coming into the play. So again, it's not a silo, it's an ecosystem, and it's a collective work by all of us.
All right, let's move on to the next topic that is, of course, related to what was said. Like, from my perspective, nothing gets adapted as fast as the things that you actually need, want, and you can find things in the wallet that you want. A good example could be like a fisherman's license. If my friend has it in his phone and I have to buy it and at some physical checkpoint, of course, I will try to adopt it, and he will show it to me, and things will work. I'm talking about service providers. We talked with Tor previously, how to get more service providers in a safe way, in a legal way, in an affordable way, to be a part of the system, so that we have one of those drawings in the first presentations where we can book a hotel, rent a car, etc., etc. Let's talk about this aspect. Who would like to go first?
Yeah, we have as a government, we always have our services. So when we rolled out the very first identity system we had in Norway, we just connected it to your tax return. So if you don't use it, you don't get any money back. It works like a charm. We had 2 million users in 1 week. And of course, you have the same in the banking industry. You need to use identity system to get access to online banking. It's also a very strong driver. So we have those elements that we can bring in. But what I think is a very interesting discussion is that how do we engage with people that are actually able to bring a new way of thinking and new services into what we are doing? To be frank, for us as government, we are not that used to doing that. We are used to get our grant, build our service, sign off, being finished. But this needs a different way of thinking, and also engaging with the crowd like you are. How do we actually do that in a good way? I mean, that is something we need to explore now in the year and 2 years to come. How can we as responsible for the implementations in our countries, set up a kind of a support structure that could help you innovate with this framework that we have. I think that's something we haven't answered very well.
And that's why we have those. We need to have those events like this much more to talk about benefits which those private sector companies could gain from the digital wallet and to interact with this wallet. This also education, not from the perspective of childs or kids, but for perspective of private sector.
Is there some onboarding scheme, structure, process at least drawn up somewhere for service providers to get on board, so that in the end it's not just a matter of rich and big companies being able to do this with their resources and programmers and funding, so that maybe smaller businesses can get on as well? So I think that's an invisible barrier that could exist.
We need to think about universal apps, universal APIs, which private sector could use easily, not to build new app for each company API. I mean, so this is the way how we need to work.
Any more perspectives on this topic, service providers? Maybe there are some businesses here at hand in our auditorium. Do we have some questions maybe right now that you would like to ask our panel? Please do raise your hand. We have a microphone here. Meanwhile, I will quickly check if we have any questions in the YouTube platform. And oh, we have a question there? Yes, excellent. Hello, what's your name and what's your question?
Well, hello, my name is Esther, I'm a volunteer here.
Excellent. Hello, Esther.
And my question was just about, as a general user, about the accessibility. Is it going to be more as if I want to get something in the wallet? Can I get it, all the things in the same way? Do I get it from home? Do I have to go at like a specific location, or does it depend on the specific thing individually?
Very good question, actually. How do I get the things that I have physical, maybe separate in the wallet, in the system?
First of all, there will be enrollment processes for getting the wallet the first time, and if you skip that, so the point is that at least from the government side, we have an obligation to provide at the stations for a lot of things directly in the wallet, so that then you can request them from the wallet and then provide them to a service provider when you need them. So there wouldn't be any need to go anywhere for that sake. There will be some cases where showing up is part of the process. For instance, going to your doctor. You don't get a description before he have talked to you, I guess. So if you want a prescription in the wallet, you need that in some cases. And then this is the exciting part. It's also for the private sector to engage in providing attestations that you can request and use. So.
From the banking perspective or finance perspective, all through we would love to see you personally, but we assume that 99.9% of the people will do it remotely, right? We see it as a couple of clicks exercise where you can actually upload your credentials, and in this case it will be your account information, right? And of course, in cases if it's for some reasons is not possible, then people in the branches can help you. But I think Latvians are very spoiled with the video meetings and remote items. I mean, you can do the doctor appointment there as well. So we will make sure that no physical presence is required.
He can't take your blood sample on Teams.
You can send it.
You can send a pint. Okay.
We'll see in a couple of years. I believe that most probably we'll have a digital solution for everything. But Esther, did you get your answer? Yeah. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Any more questions here? Yes, we have a question in the second row. Let's get you a microphone. Hello, sir.
Yeah, so Margus from EUDIW, and I'm wondering how much are we thinking about international cooperation, that Europe is like a lot of people, but still a very tiny part of the world. US we have mobile driver's licenses, Singapore SingPass, Emirates, UAE Pass, Vietnam VNID, which is like deployed, actively used long time ago. But how are we going to interface with these, or are we going to stay in like little Europe inside?
Thank you, sir. You stole my last question. Very good question.
Everybody looking at me. Well, actually, the technology or the app does not give the solution, because legally you now have all the mechanisms how you can approach as a third country outside the EU coming and getting, for example, for work, how do you get your insurance, health insurance, A1, or colleagues might correct, or other necessary services. So the app might be the solution, but again, we're 2 years ahead. Let's start with the first steps. Let's deal with the first ones. And also about the wallet and having everything in. I know I'm not popular with this, but you don't take your ID everywhere. You don't need it. So actually, this solution is meant for services, and it can be broadened, and it will be broadened. But again, do we need everything in one place or not? It's a question. It's not for decision or something. But again, if you have one universal app, do you really have the possibility to combine highest security standards with all the credentials and the traffic in enforcement? A question. So again, a debate comes in. Do you need one universal? Because, yeah, e-signature you don't use going in a shop or somewhere else. It's just precise where you need to validate and approve your ID and your wish to do something vis-a-vis state or private entities. So, a question.
Depends of what shop.
You can see the first signs of initiatives within the Commission and the collective as such as trying to reach out to other countries and other areas to see if we can bilaterally connect the IDAs across larger scope of the globe. But that said, still this doesn't solve a digital identity for all. It is a scope that's connected to Europe and connected to getting the free market in the Union to work. So we are still left with, when you see my start on the presentation, we will still not get an identity system for the whole population. This will not be a global impact. We are dealing with Europe first. No, sorry, I was wrong. That's the US president who says that. So still a lot of challenges, and good identity systems is still a faraway goal, I think.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Very good question. Who else? Who else has a question? Use your time wisely. I think there's a question right there. Yes.
I actually had a question about the presentation and to Tor directly. Yeah. You mentioned something about helping to protect minors from harmful information on the internet using digital identity. Could you elaborate and give one example of how that would work?
How it would work is something that's currently being explored. But if you go to the Digital Service Directive regulation, DSA, there is obligations for people providing platforms and also large platforms. There is a limit in the regulation which differs those. And if you go to EIDAS, there is also regulation that says that in the contents of DSA, EIDAS and the digital wallet should be accepted by these large platforms for verification of age. So there is the legal framework to impose upon these large social platforms, for instance, TikTok, the use of age verification means by EID. In DSA, there is also a lot of other mitigating possibilities that are in other parts of the regulation. Currently, the Commission is procuring a light wallet that will be ready by the summer, that could be implemented by member states. get kind of a head start. And there's lots of political interest on how you can actually impose stricter age limits on these platforms. So it'd be a very exciting area to follow up on.
But what prevents me as a child to take my father's digital wallet and authorize myself to access a platform?
That is the questions they are discussing in the design and the architecture of the system, so of course, and a lot of different variations on that subject. So you need, of course, a system that works in such a way that that's not easy, at least.
What about partnerships? We're talking about service providers, importance of partnerships, organizations, governments, tech companies. Do you have any opinion on this? How crucial it is in the future? Of course, there are many partners involved in this project right now, but for the future, I'm involving the service provider question broader.
I would say from my point of perspective that there should be a partnership between EU countries as well in certifying the wallet, because we are a small country and it takes a lot of expertise in common criteria and international standards to get it done correctly. So it would be very important, yes.
I can only say that this is one of the projects where the more is merrier. Because we are on the learning curve, meaning that the more smart people participating, the better outcome in the end will be. I am advocating super apps. Some people are saying that this is not correct, but it is the discussion, right? This is the value out of it. We see the points, we take a decision, we offer to the European Commission to take it, and then we can roll it out. But I think the most important thing for us is really to get as many smart people here, and then us as Europeans, because I mean, let's remember, this is for us, Europeans, how to make use of it, that we get benefits out of it.
All right, I think Thor's watch is telling him to stand up, which means we're running out of time for this discussion.
It's doing that all the time.
A normal thing in conferences, right? So much sitting. But that just brings my attention to you once again. Maybe some last questions from you, dear audience, while I check what's happening online. If you have any questions, please do ask right now. It looks like we have answered all of online questions here as well. So maybe my roundup question, which is a very broad question, but you can take it as you wish. How do you see what has to happen? What do we have to work on, and how to make the digital wallet future-proof in the terms of cybersecurity threats from the future, in future use cases, legislative side, technical side? How do we think? How do we approach it so that we are at least ready to work on things that are not here as maybe a possibility or a threat today?
Like a physical wallet, the wallet can't be empty, and that's the biggest point. If we will provide the solution in the 2027, like empty wallet without the use cases, this solution will be useful. So basically, that's the way where we need to look forward, to cooperate with the companies, with the public sector, with the private sector, to make this wallet full.
And I would like to add to that, to cooperate, to make it adherent to international standards and to secure. So maybe when we'll take the first round in Europe, and not to rush it, but maybe in the future it will be recognized in whole world. So actually, because we are that's the, speaking of standards, we are converging in the world with that. That's technical language, and I say I don't see any reason why wallet should know that if we implement it right.
Mm-hmm. I think for me it's two things. One, we still need to find the answer to the question what kind of problem we would like to solve. That it is actually for me a problem that this solution can solve. And the second, and I may be naive here, but I would like to push it through, how to utilize this ecosystem as a potential for the new businesses. As simple as that, right? It's a cool tool. People will use it. How some smart people can elevate it.
Yeah, the ADAS regulation is unique in a global context. There is nowhere else that there is an identity framework covering so many countries, so many people. It gives a possibility to build services in a new way, and also together with the rest of the regulation that comes from Europe, it is a strong tool. But it will just happen in one way, and that is if smart people looks into how we can use it, providing meaningful and valuable services to the citizens. That needs to be done, or else we will just spend a lot of government money on our wallet. So we are very dependent upon you and all of your other colleagues to get this to work.
Not government money, our money.
It's called tax.
So, Linel, it's full circle. We're back to you. We open with you. We're closing with you.
Thank you. Basically, I would say that for me, the cornerstone of this would be cross-border usability. Because we can build robust, secure, etc., full wallet, but I don't know, if my driver's license is not read in Italy, then it's not usable. So for me, this cross-border unity between EU and we are being mobile. Today you get in a car, you end up in, I don't know, Germany or Spain in a hotel and have the weekend. So what kind of opportunities it could be? And resource efficiency, for example, car rentals, that you do not need to make copies, etc., for insurances, etc., but you validate with your European driver's license and you get it all seamlessly. But again, it's a long road ahead, but for me, this would be the main takeaway, since in my previous life, I've spent a lot of time outside Latvia, and I see the benefits in getting the services or simple A1 forms in digitally that I can work outside. So, and when it comes into play, we can see that everybody will start use, businesses will start booming and growing on it, since if you have your identity in the hotels, like now we go, where I was in Brussels, they take copies of my ID. Seriously, what's the use of a copy? I can give you any ID. Sorry for saying that, but if you have government-backed service that this ID belongs to this person, then yes. And the responsibility of father is father's responsibility. If you leave the keys of the car on the table and your kid takes it, well, the legal side says that you're responsible till a certain age. So again, it's collectively, it's all of us. It's not somebody separate, but it's not a silo. It's all of us, and cross-border is the future.
Well, gentlemen, ladies, I see a very huge potential in this in the future for it to benefit our lives, to maybe even solve problems that we don't know even exist yet. And I believe that we have the minds in the consortium, in the projects that can bring this to reality, but it is our collective responsibility to take the knowledge that we gain here today, that we talked about, the points, to carry them out, to bring them to other tables, other discussions. And I hope that truly this event is a puzzle piece in the big picture that we're building for tomorrow. So let's say a thank you with our applause to our dear speakers, Arnis Pērkons, Renalds Celmiņš, Ilja Nogičevs, Thor Alvik, and Kristian Steters. Thank you, gentlemen, for participating. And I hope to see you in other events. My name is Artis Ozoliņš. Have a great day. Thank you.